All praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. This is going to be a lesson going into how wartime or times of chaos are completely different to civilized times, man, like how we're living now, where everything's civilized, man. How we're living right now, people are in a civilized mindset, man. So they wait in queues, especially over here in the UK, over here in England in particular. People wait in queues. They show patience, right? For the most part, they'll let somebody else go first, and they deal in a so-called civilized way. Yet all the people are not civilized that are living this way. They're not really civilized, man. It's a facade. That's something that people are willing to do during times of peace, right? But the times that we're coming into and the times that Yahweh is getting ready to set up on the earth, men are not going to be like that, right? And the certain rules that people have in society, right, that are acceptable now, or that people do now, are not going to be how people are going to be in the time to come. And let me just get a scripture on this. This is 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the cause of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, so people not being able to go where they want to go. That's something that causes people to stir up, right? The poverty, the famines, the lack of resources, the inflation, and all of these things are going to be what's going to cause for people to be seditious among men anyway, meaning that they're going to be against the governments that are ruling over them. They're going to be against the governments that they currently accept to tell them, oh, you can do this or you can't do that. But when they do that, because they're like, okay, I'll listen to you because that means you're giving me these certain things. But as soon as you stop giving me these certain things and you start giving me the access to these things that I'm used to having, well, now I'm not going to listen to you no more. That's how it is for these people, man. They're prepared to listen as long as they can still keep doing the same things that they've always been able to do. But once those things start getting taken away gradually, one by one, right? And then once all those things are taken away completely, people ain't going to listen no more. Because what's going to be the need to listen? What's going to be the need for somebody to want to listen to the police force when the police, they don't trust them no more? What's going to be the need for them to listen to the governments when they ain't nothing for them to govern? They're going to say, well, I don't need to listen no more. The government is actually destroying my life. That's what these people are going to say, man. And these are the harsh realities that the average person doesn't want to accept. And these are the harsh realities that Christians don't want to accept, right? Yet at the same time, they'll hear about how God destroyed everybody off the face of the earth and saved 8 people alive. But then they'll say, oh, what, that was back then. No, God's still like that. The Most High Yahweh, he's still like that, right? But he's patient too. So he lets the sins of men build up so that he can just do something one time to cause peace for a long time and fear to be spread across the earth. And that's what he's doing right now. And the amount of time he's been being calm and allowing this world to get away with all the wickedness that he's got away with, that's how we know that the destruction that's coming is going to be one of the biggest destructions that we've ever seen on the earth, man. And let me get that's led me to this scripture since I've said that. This is Jeremiah chapter 16. No, this isn't even the one. No, that's not the one. Jeremiah 9. This is Jeremiah chapter 9. That's not even the one, is it? The scripture that I'm looking for, it says, behold, I will this once cause them to know my anger and my fury. It must be. It's either Jeremiah 9 or Jeremiah 16. Here we go. This is Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 21. Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know mine. No, therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know mine hand and my might, and they shall know that and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. Let me read it again. Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 21. Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know mine hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. So Yahweh is getting ready to one time cause such destruction upon the face of the earth that people are going to be terrified to ever not listen to the Lord again. And they're going to be terrified to put their hands on the Israelites again, because let's make no mistakes. The reason why all of this stuff's happening in the world, and the reason why World War III is getting ready to be placed upon the earth, is because of what people have did to the Israelites, right? Which I'm going to prove it. Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. Behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather together all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So you have that place is going to be the land of Israel. There's going to be a big war that's going to take place in the land of Israel, man. And the reason why it's happening is because Yahweh is going to plead for the case of the Israelites in that land. And these people, when they're fighting, they're going to be they're going to be confounded, man. They're going to really look stupid at the end of this whole thing, man. Right? And all the people that didn't think that there was ever going to be no types of destruction, right? All the people that was completely oblivious to anything taking place, they're going to be confounded. But for all those people that was on that prepper spirit, right? They don't understand how bad this thing's going to go, because they still think that it's going to come back at the end of it all to be in a scenario where their people are going to be in charge. They don't understand that heavenly things are going to take place during this time. They don't understand that this war is going to be so big and so great that it's going to cause for Yahweh to send Yahweh Shai to return. Right? Because if he didn't, then the elect who have strived for the Lord would be harmed, and Yahweh don't want them to be harmed no more. The time of the Israelites being harmed is almost over. And that's why the scriptures speak about how tears are going to be wiped from the Israelites' eyes, and they're not going to cry no more. 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 18. In fact, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with a sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And that's what I'm talking about, man. Like, people don't expect that kind of stuff is going to happen, and people don't realize how evil it's going to get. And just to go back to the topic of the lesson, the thing I originally pointed out, the rules during times of chaos are different to the rules during times of peace, right? Initially, when times of war occur, the rule is let the women and the children go first, right? But there's been an influx and a big rapid push of feminism across the world, by where women are saying that men and women are equal, and by where women are saying that they think that they should be treated the same as men. So men have heard this. They've heard this be said. So when times of chaos come, the men are going to say, okay, get treated equal then. You can have the same things as what we're having. We're going to treat you equal. That's what's going to happen to you women. You're going to get treated equal to the men that you so long desired to be equal to. And in that time, you're going to wish that you wasn't treated equal. And there's prophecies for that, right? There's prophecies, man. Let's read some of them. There's prophecies that are going to show that you women are going to wish that you never said this stuff, man. Right? Let me go to some. This is 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 33. The virgin shall mourn, having no bridegroom. So women are going to be mourning because they ain't got no husbands, or there's lack of men available to give them children, which they're already doing that, man. They're already on TikTok complaining about men, right? Complaining that men don't want to take them out on dates no more. Complaining about this, complaining about that, right? They're already doing that, man. But when chaos times come, it's going to be worse, because the things that make men care to do things for women for the most part are illusions, right? A lot of these women's beauty that they have can be taken away quickly with baby wipes wiping off their face, or with makeup remover quickly. And there's more than enough videos on the internet that you can go to before and afters of makeup, and you will see that that makeup is a whole bunch of wizardry, man, and witchcraft, right? Whether people want to get emotional and all that and say, oh, who's he to say this? I'm saying it because it's true. Verse 33 again, 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 33. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. So they ain't going to be no more friends with benefits that you women are going to have. There ain't going to be no more men in the friend zone, right? Because these men are going to be dying in wars. These men are going to be dying from chaos that's occurring on the earth. A lot of these men are going to die from trying to help you women. A lot of them are going to die because they was trying to help you wicked women out there, man. But the times that we're coming into, there's not going to be no such thing as, there's going to be real equality, man. There's going to be everyone getting treated exactly the same. That's what's getting ready to happen. Everyone's going to be getting treated exactly the same. The 5'2" woman, that's 100 pounds, is going to get treated exactly the same as the 6'3" man, that's 250 pounds. People are going to treat him exactly with the same evil and harshness as they treat you women. And in that time, women are going to wish that they never asked for any type of equality. They're not going to be saying that they're with the same strength as men in that time. They're not going to be saying that they can do exactly the same thing as men. They're not going to be saying that they're warriors just like men are. They're not going to be saying that in that time. That stuff for now, that stuff that can be said in times of peace. You know, what do you bring to the table and all of that stuff? That stuff that can be said now in times of peace. But in times of chaos, when there's a fight every 10 seconds, where one fight ends and another fight's begun, where one situation's happened and another situation's begun, that kind of stuff, that kind of mindset ain't gonna work in that time, man. It's not gonna work. That, oh, I'm gonna play hard to get stuff, that ain't gonna work. In that time, you're gonna be hard to want. Men ain't gonna want you. They're gonna be looking at they might have 2 cans of kidney beans and might be like, you know what? If she comes and follows with me, she's gonna want half of these tins. So I'm just gonna tell her to go do one. She ain't coming with me. She can stay over there and do what she's doing over that side, and I'm gonna do what I'm doing over this side. That's the kind of thing that's gonna be happening, man. Men ain't gonna be wanting to men ain't gonna be wanting to have too many women around them that are not of a benefit to his life, man. And in that time, women ain't gonna be talking about no on the table and all of that. They're not gonna be saying none of these stupid terminologies, man. In that time, tough guys that think that they're gangsters are not gonna be thinking that they're so bad then, because everyone's gonna have a gang in that time. Everyone, all of these wicked people, they're all gonna be making gangs, man. There's gonna be all these different types of groups of people that are gonna be losing the plot. All different types of people that are gonna be losing the plot, man. And maybe saying gangs weren't the right word to use, but everyone's gonna be in some kind of groups, right? Everyone's gonna already be put off into groups, man. And then being a gangster isn't gonna mean as much in that time, man. Having your own group ain't gonna mean as much when everybody else has got their own group too. That group stuff, that gang group stuff, only matters as much when nobody else is teamed up with somebody else. But when everybody else is teamed up, all these other wicked people are teamed up, that was just as evil as you, but was trying to fake to be civilized. It's not going to mean as much that you was in a crew then, is it? No, it's not. And that's why, let me get this scripture. Let me get this. Jeremiah chapter 9 and verse 23. Thus saith Yahweh, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might, let not the rich man glory in his riches. So we ain't supposed to glorify none of that stuff. You ain't supposed to look at your bank balance, right, and just be like, whoa, I've made it. You ain't supposed to look at your collection of books and say, whoa, I've got about 12 books on every single topic in my house. You ain't supposed to look at your biceps and start doing bodybuilding positions in the mirror. Or you ain't supposed to start testing out your flexibility or be shadow boxing in front of the mirror being like, man, who wants it? You know? Anyone can, I'm the can man, anybody can get it. You ain't supposed to start thinking like that, because Yahweh can get everyone. Verse 24, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me, that I am Yahweh, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith Yahweh. So that's what we're supposed to glory in. We're supposed to glory. We're supposed to glory that we understand the Lord. right? That's what we're supposed to put our faith and our trust in, that we know the Lord, man. Not any of these other things that can easily perish away. And this world is clearly perishing away. You got bridges blowing up, right? You've got pipelines blowing up. And then you've still got these bug out Christians out there that they're saying, oh, this ain't this this stuff. There's not going to be no World War III, but there's a war going on right now, though. And then according to their doctrine, there wasn't no three wars prophesied in the Bible. But according to what the Hebrew Israelites say, there was three wars prophesied in the Bible. Let me read it. Revelation chapter 8 and verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of the heavens, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of their voices, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound. Woe, woe, woe. War, war, war. World War One, or World War One. World War Two, or World War Two. World War Three, or World War Three. That's the three woes. So all these people that are saying, nah, I ain't. Well, that's what they're saying. But what the Hebrew Israelites are saying is something completely different to that. So who's right and who's wrong? And eventually everyone's going to realize that the people that they thought were black scumbags, right? Or Latino, Mexican lawnmower cutters, right? Or Red Indian, Native American chanting, shaking a rattle around, right? All the people that had all these stereotypes of us, they're gonna realize that we was the best people on the earth, man. And that the only reason why we looked like how we looked on the earth was because Yahweh put a curse on us from the heavens, which was a curse that, for starters, we had to go through and couldn't have been removed from us whether we wanted to or not, because we had to go through these things in order to get perfected, to get the kingdom. It was prophecy that we had to go through this stuff. But they don't want to accept that, man, because then it means that all the other things that we're saying are going to happen too, which they are going to happen. Right, now let me go back to let me get this as well. 2 Age chapter 15 and verse 20. Behold, saith Yahweh, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another, and repay those things that they have done to them. Like as they have done yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and recompense in their bosom. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts. So that's exactly the same thing, spoken in different words, as what was written in Joel, the 3rd chapter, the 1st verse to the 2nd verse, man. All these nations are going to be gathered together to fight against another because of what they did to the Israelites. That's what's getting ready to happen. World War III is going to happen because of the Israelites, right? All these other channels that talk about these things, they're good. We'll give them that. I'll give them these people. They give a lot of knowledge, man, and they bring out things that we can speak on, right? But all of these things are happening. God's putting the thoughts in these people's minds to do these things so that he can make what he wants to happen. Now let me prove that. God's making nations agree with people that they don't even agree with in order to make what he wants to happen. Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now, how can all these other nations that America's in confederacy with, NATO and the EU nations, how can they burn her with fire? There's only one way, right? There's only one way that they can do that, and it's the way that the world fears the most. Yet it's going to happen, right? Verse 17. For Yahweh hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. So Yahweh's making them do this stuff. He's making them, all these nations, agree to give their power to a nation that they don't even agree with, ultimately, because Yahweh wants them to do certain things, man. Babylon's been a golden cup in the Lord's hand with which he's made the whole earth to be drunken. Now, which country can you pick that has made every other nation have to bow down to their will? Which nation can you pick, if you had to pick one, that goes around the whole earth, that's on many waters, that's telling everybody else what to do, yet doesn't want to be told what to do by anybody else? And that's used weapons of warfare to the highest degree. Which nation is that? There's only one that should spring to mind if you're an honest person, which most people are not. So people are not gonna speak on that. They don't want to speak on these things, man. But like I was saying before, let me go back to this. In fact, let me go to Isaiah 32. Like I was saying before, man, in times of chaos, the rules are different, man, because men are getting tired of women talking about equality and all of this stuff and bunning out men, right? Ignoring men when they walk down and pass them on the street. But then when they need a war to be fought, right, so that these women can keep the same rights and the same privileges that they're having, then all of a sudden the women don't want to try and fight for the rights that they have to be trying to bun out men. You know, when they be walking on the street with these plaques marching, they don't want to have to fight to be able to keep themselves being able to do these things, right? Because they can't do these things in every single country on the earth. But what they'll do is they'll stay in the countries where they can run their mouth and run their mouth there, which makes sense to do. Of course, you're not gonna go. Of course, you're not gonna go to a country where you're gonna be bust up for talking, running your mouth. Of course, you're not gonna do that. But you should show some kind of respect, then I guess, that you are able to do that, and not be trying to make out like you're just so hard done by, man, when you're not. But it's gonna get to where women are gonna find out what being hard done by really is, man. Right? They're gonna lose all this flashy lifestyle that they have right now to be able to just become a millionaire through taking pictures of their dirty feet. Second Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 9. Rise up, you women are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. So God's saying to the women, listen up, right? Verse 10. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. So that the lovely times are going to be falling away from you, wicked women. The times where you can just do whatever you want to do, where you can get access to things, where men are just opening the doors for you, you know, where you can just get to go and see all these different places on the earth, yeah, and then try and pretend as though you're paying for it yourself when you know that you're not paying for it yourself, right? Try and bun men out for him not having a lot of money. But then if we were to research your pockets, we'll see that you ain't got a lot of money yourself. Try and expect men to have to make all these crazy amounts of money, but you can't make that amount of money yourself and have never experienced what it's like to have that kind of money. So where are you getting all this ability to be talking about all these funds when you can't make that money yourself? You ain't balling yourself. You ain't got a large savings account yourself, man. But there you go, expecting men to be running around after you making crazy ass amounts of money, and men are actually falling for the tricks right now. But when all hell breaks loose, they're gonna start saying, you know what, there's not gonna be any men that are simping for you women. Right now, there's men that are going against what you women say on a large scale, but there's still men that are defending the wickedness that you women have. But the time to come, no one's going to be defending it because they're going to be too worried about themselves. And they're going to have heard all the things that women said. And they're going to say, okay, deal with it yourself then. Because even in the times that we're coming up to, old people ain't going to get a benefit. If there's an old person that's got food in their house, some rebellious people, a rebellious group of cannibals might roll up in the house and ain't even in the house to try and steal the food. They're going to eat people. And these are things that are harsh that people don't want to hear about, but they're pushing this stuff all throughout the media, all throughout the movies. They're pushing this stuff, man. The Walking Dead, they push that. They're pushing it on TV shows. People are eating raw meat now. They're pushing this stuff out there, man. And they're doing it for a reason, man. Let me carry on. Verse 11, tremble ye women are at ease. Be ye troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vines. So they're going to be hoping for the lovely times again, but those times are not going to be coming, man. And they're going to be wishing that they was talking to men a lot nicer in that time, man. Just watch, man. There's a lot of men that have seen certain women in their day, man. Right? That woman doesn't. In fact, I remember one story that one brother said, man. One brother that said that when he was in London, and he said that there was one woman. I remember this story. He said that there was one woman that men would normally simp over, right? But there must have been like a thing where people thought there was like some kind of attack happening in London, and the woman ran up to the building that he was working in, right? she ran up to the building that he was working in, and she was crying at the door, saying, "Please let me in, don't leave me out there," right? But any other day, that woman would have been proud, walking with her expensive bag and her long coat, probably just thrown over the shoulders with her arms still hanging out. Yeah, with fragrant stuff, cocoa buttered off. Yeah, heels clicking as she's walking on the street, proud as hell, looking with her chin elevated to the heavens, not looking at anyone with eye contact, just being proud as hell, man. But when the tables turned and things flipped, she instantly became feminine all of a sudden. Then you see. And people let her in. But in the times to come, people are going to be saying, "Nah, you're not coming in. There's only enough food for me and mine, or there's only enough food for me." They're going to be doing the same things that women do, with the attitude that women have. Oh, what do you bring? They're going to be like, "What? Well, what have you done for me lately? I can do bad by myself." They're going to be arrogant, like how women are arrogant, man. And these are the things that women don't think can really happen because they can't see far into the future, man. Which is the reason why there ain't no such thing as no women prophets, man. In order to be a prophet, you have to be able to see into the future far long before anybody else ever thinks anything was going to happen, man. Like Noah did. Noah said it's going to rain. People laughed. If you were to say it's going to rain now, people would believe you. They'd be like, "Yeah, it might. It might. You're right. Yeah, you're right about that." But the Hebrew Israelites are saying that Yahushua is a so-called black man. Chariots, what people call UFOs, are going to come to the earth and start war against all these wicked nations. While there is a war, we're saying that there's going to be a certain device that's going to be pushed across the whole earth and made mandatory to take it in either your hand or in your head, right? And people are saying, "Nah, that ain't going to happen." They can't even believe the earthly prophecies, never mind the heavenly ones. They can't believe the earthly things that we're talking about. So they ain't going to be able to believe the heavenly. Let's read. Yeah, I'm going to go straight to this. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 25. "Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war," which is similar to the prophecy that he spoke of in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, verse 26. "And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach." Now, I know women will say, "Nah, I'd never bow down to no man. I got my own bag." Yeah, they'll say all that BS, all that flying off the handle talk that they do, right? But I remember there was a show, man, Bear Grylls, Bear Grylls, man. And on this show, right, on this show you had a men's island, right? And then you had a women's island. And what one of the women said on the island is, if there's any man that likes me and thinks I'm attractive, I'm gonna use my body to get things out of him, right? But she wasn't able to find no man that was on that simping behavior, right? And when these women couldn't fend for themselves on their island, what did they come doing? They came begging up from the men, man. And this was a TV show that they knew was gonna be like this. They knew it was meant to be about how they can survive. And they came over there and they was begging up the men for food, right? But they were still having an attitude though, because they knew that there was TV cameras around. So the things that they was trying to use to manipulate the men in a time of chaos, you can't use that. In the times that we're talking about, according to these prophecies, you can't use none of that. In the times that I'm speaking of in these prophecies, that time's not gonna. You're not gonna be able to use none of that. A woman's not gonna be able to use anything to manipulate a man. Anything in that time, man. The men ain't gonna be trying to hear that, because this is gonna be the worst time that's ever been upon the face of the earth. But I know that these women are proud, and they're thinking in their mind, "Nah, I'll never do that. I'd never come to a man and beg him like that." right? I gotta be the main chick. I can never be an old side chick and all that. I know they think that. I know they think it, man. But how often have they been starving? How often have they been starving like that to where there's no food in any shops and there's no access to things like that? When have they ever seen that? When has anybody in the last 50 years in the West so-called Western world seen anything like that, man? They haven't seen it. So it's easy to talk and say you'd never do that, but really, what are the women in the Ukraine saying right now? Or what are all those women in Russia saying that husbands having to go and get drafted? What are they saying? Verse 4 again, Isaiah chapter 4 and verse 1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our approach. So they're not even going to be coming to the men necessarily begging for food or begging for water, right? They're going to be begging to be with the man. That's what this prophecy is saying. They're going to be begging to be with the man. So all that stuff about women being a prize and all that, I'm the prize, I'm the table, all of that stuff, Yahweh says opposite to what you women are saying. Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 12, I will make a man. In fact, let me go verse 11 first. And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. And I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. And there's even men that are going to, I'm not just here to get on women. There's even men that are going to be humbled, man. There's men that think that they've been going to the gym since they were 16 years old. They've built their traps right. They can deadlift they can deadlift 400 kilograms, right? They think they're a straight up warrior of old, right? But they're gonna find out in the time that's coming up that their body requires 5,000 calories in order to feel sustained. But they ain't gonna be able to even find 2,000 calories, and they're gonna be losing a plot. They're not gonna be able to get the juice that they normally was able to inject in themselves. All their supplements, they're not gonna have access to that. They're not gonna have access to the whole gallon jar of water that they used to drink, and they're gonna be bugging out in that time, man. They're not gonna have access to quickly just slide open a protein bar. All that stuff that they have access to is gonna be taken away, man. So they're not gonna be able to handle that. And there's gonna be some other guy that just believes in the Lord that might be skinny. He might be about 140 pounds, but he believes in the Lord, and the Lord is gonna protect him more than he's gonna protect a big juggernaut that could lift damn near a car off the ground. Because it's not about that. Verse 11 again. And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So men are going to be made more precious than fine gold in that time, right? And a man is more precious than a woman in times of chaos anyway, because he can do more, right? Because it's not about baby making in a time when chaos is kicking off. People are on that 7-8 in a woman spirit in that time. It's not about going to the restaurant, right? And the person comes around with the roses. Do you want to buy a rose for the young lady? You know, it's not about the sides and the balsamic vinegar with bread and all of that in that time. You know, it's not about, oh, do you want the starters brought out with your mains? It's not about all of that. It's not about smelling nice in that time. It's not about a woman wearing unfunctional shoes, big high heels, right? Or about a man wearing 20 chains on. You're going to want to have some functional clothing in that time, man. You know? You're going to want to have clothes that you might have to climb over a fence to get away from some chaos in that time. It's not going to be about some mini skirt that just hangs about 1 centimeter below your glutes, what you women be wearing. It's not going to be about that in that time, man. It's going to be a completely different mindset to what people have now. The rules are going to be completely changed over, man. It's going to become an ancient, well, man, it's not even, it's really, it can't, this time that's coming can't be compared to anything that anyone's ever seen before. It's going to have ancient aspects of it, but it can't even really be compared to ancient times, because there's no time like it that's been under the sun. This is a new time in itself that's getting ready to happen, man. But with the end result being that it does go back to the ancient ways of the kingdom of heaven, which is going to be even greater than the ancient ways, in fact, in itself. Now I'm gonna read this scripture, and this is a harsh scripture to read, but people have to hear this, man. They have to hear the horrible things that's getting ready to happen, man. And I'm not gonna do an explanation on this because it speaks for itself. Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 14. And it shall be as a chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Right? So the time that we're getting ready to see, man, is not a time that anyone's ever seen before in their life, man. Right? And people don't want to accept this. But the times that's getting ready to happen upon the earth are the worst times that anyone's ever seen in their life, man. Right? It's going to be the worst times anyone's ever seen in their life, and the rules are going to change. Right? The things that happen in peace times are different than the things that happen in war times. All you have to do is go back and look at what was happening 2 years ago, right? People was fighting, women were fighting other women, no men involved. Women were fighting other women over toilet roll, right? Literally fighting each other over toilet roll, man. There was fighting over toilet roll. People was hoarding up all the bread. Then a week goes by later and they throw it away. But people was doing it. So all you people really know that the world is not as secure as you make out. Because as soon as you hear about one thing, you all flood the stores and buy up everything, man. And then go back to being proud again. But I'm gonna end the lesson there. I think I've made more than made the point, man. Right? The times that's getting ready to happen are completely different to any time that anyone else has ever seen in the earth before, ever in their life. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakah Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. Shalom.